going to bed, honey?
Yes, dear.
Goodness gracious. Oh my gosh. For Pete's sake, if you will. Fuck. Khamzat Chimaev just grabbed Dricus du Plessis by his boxer briefs and hiked them up about 15 kilometers vertically. In my previous video talking about Evloev, I mentioned that this was a damn banger matchup and every bit a fantastic main event for a pay-per-view. Given how exciting DDP was as a contender and then champion, ridiculous style and all, complete with heavy power in his hands and what we thought was a good understanding of where to move on the ground, as well as an insane gas tank, up against a first-round freakazoid in Chimaev, who is without a doubt the most deadly wrestler in the entire promotion, I thought we'd see Chimaev bulldoze him early, or DDP would weather that storm and proceed to take over the fight as it went on, weaponizing said cardio. I believe my exact words were something to the effect of, "If this fight is boring, I will be shocked."
Beautiful. Thank you, boys.
Well, you can all make me walk the plank for jinxing the shit out of that, because let's be real, that shit was kind of beans. Khamzat Chimaev took down DDP with ease and held him there in various butt-fucking positions, actually getting him stuck in a crucifix on multiple occasions, and stuck to him like a dung beetle on dung. He landed a dozen takedowns basically at will for the duration. Dricus landed 13 significant strikes total, and there is an argument that almost every round was a 10-8 for Chimaev. Maybe that's a little dramatic, but that's how it felt. This was one of the most disgustingly dominant performances from a challenger these two eyes have ever witnessed. Chimaev was the boot, du Plessis was the ant. But in saying that, that does not mean it was a very pleasant watch. I think a lot of the outcry online is a little hyperbolic. Let's not try and pretend that Chimaev is going to be a boring champion all of a sudden. Barring this and the Usman fight being kind of buns as well, Chimaev has always managed to brutalize his opponents with early finishes and a crushing presence, with the only exception of that being that legendary barn burner with Gilbert Burns. Besides these two fights, it's all fireworks. I've seen some people online saying he was kind of coasting with this one, and I think that was most definitely because he didn't want to fall into the trap that everyone picking du Plessis thought he would, including me. He wanted to be certain that he would make it the full 25 minutes if he needed to, and so despite the fact that he was dominant for the duration, he didn't go quite as ballistic as he normally does. He definitely laid off the gas to give himself numerous breathers in there. And, you know, good for him. He made it the full 5 rounds, got the belt, and did it dominantly. But while I think the backlash was a tad over the top, I will admit that was a very disappointing fight. I literally couldn't fathom the idea of it being boring going in, and it was kind of fucking boring, I'm gonna be honest. But hey, they can't all be sizzling. Merab's first fight with O'Malley, where he swiped the belt, was also kind of radioactive and green. But then the following performances against Umar and then the rematch Suga were a lot more entertaining. Now I think people actually like Merab as champ. I fully trust that Chimaev will gain that championship level confidence and will likely eviscerate whoever they put in there with him next. Because let's not kid ourselves, none of these guys are going to do a damn thing to him. The top 10 at middleweight is the most exciting it's been in years with fresh faces galore, but I don't care if they're permitted to bring firearms into the cage or sign some kind of starvation clause where Chimaev isn't allowed to eat anything for a month leading up. No one is stopping that takedown. And once said takedown is finished, no one is getting back up from it. Let's not mince words. Khamzat Chimaev will be champion for a very, very long time. I think he will stay champion until he gets bored. My issue with this outcome isn't with his ability to entertain. My issue is one that I've talked about on the channel before and one that's been echoed with others in the community. I don't trust that this guy will all of a sudden start fighting more often than he has been. This fight did take place in Chicago, so any travel issues that were there clearly aren't a factor anymore and won't be a hindrance. But until I see it with me own 2 eyes, I won't believe it. I truly hope I'm wrong. I hope he turns around in like January or something against the winner of Bahayo versus Imavov or Fluffy Hernandez maybe, but I am not holding my breath. As for the other half of this tango, good God, man. DDP just had his aura meter decimated. I mean, entirely cooked into oblivion. We've seen dominant challenger performances where you can imagine the champ would be able to come back with some other wins and pose a different kind of threat. Like, we all know that Sean O'Malley can knock out anyone under the sun eventually, so we can imagine a world where he goes away, sharpens up, and comes back and maybe starts his Merab in an eventual third fight. I don't necessarily think that would happen, but I'm saying I can picture it. I can also picture a universe where Israel Adesanya beats Sean Strickland in a rematch. That was also a dominant performance on Sean's part, but I can see that. I can picture it. But with this one, I'm not so sure, Buster. When the gap is this significant in ability on the ground, I don't think I ever need to see a rematch in 1,000 years. It's such a wash that I don't see any amount of adjustments being made having any effect on the outcome of a proposed rematch. There's just no way in hell. 13 significant strikes over 25 minutes from a guy known for a lot of output and pressure. Insane. Now, while I'm happy for Khamzat, and provided he proves me wrong with the layoff thing, I do think he'll be an exciting champion, I'm very sad to see the DDP era get put down like a horse. Not only was his rise full of assembling legendary skulls and in violent fashion, but I was really excited to see him take on that litany of new challenges peeking around the corner. And like I've said on multiple occasions, it was nice that DDP was a champ, similar to Pantoja for example, who didn't give a solitary fuck about cherry picking or jumping ship to 205, at least not before it's warranted. He had every intention of staying where he was and taking on everyone. And I believe that he would have done that if he somehow managed to get a Hail Mary knockout in this fight. If he was somehow able to get past this beast, it would have accepted anyone. But alas, no man born from his mother is beating Khamzat Chimaev, so that was always fanciful at best. I'm excited to see what he does next, but it's a bummer how little the prospect of another title shot from this guy excites me. 10 out of 10 times he loses that fight. You know how Lucas Tracy's always doing those narrative changes videos after every pay-per-view? Well, this one's gotta be the most shocking, maybe since Sean Strickland got the belt off Izzy, but this is even crazier. I don't think anyone being honest expected DDP to get taken to the cleaners that badly. Anyways, good for Chimaev, but please God, defend soon. He talked about October, please don't blue ball us. I beg you, good sir.